What's up, guys? Tonight we wanted to talk about who actually won the debate. So I wanted to see if we could figure out what might be a better way of looking at this, and I wanted to get your opinion. So we've got two different ways that I see we could try to figure out who won. Well, there's more other ways than this, but the two primary ways I thought of were getting a gauge from all the different talking heads that are out there on television and whatnot, and their individual rankings of how the candidates did, in terms of relevance. Did they do good in the debate or not? And collectively gather those together and try to tabulate a ranking based upon all the talking heads' understanding of what's going on, right? With the hope that they are at least slightly accurate and objective in the way that they see the rankings, right? Like trying to actually interpret the data versus just putting their own analysis on it. And the second approach is based on search volume on Google.com. So Google is the #1 site in the world in terms of popularity. And we're going to take two different time periods. We're going to go from 7 days before the debate, and then we're going to take the day before the debate and up until today for two reasons. So we have more data. And second, I think the day before the debate is captures some very valuable information potentially in the lead up to the debates, because I think there's probably more chatter around whoever's going to win beforehand, because I think there's like insider knowledge information about this. So that is why I included that day in there. We're going to take a look at those. We're going to rank everybody before, and then we're going to rank everybody after. And then we're going to look at those two and see who moved up in the rankings or down, meaning who collectively in the U.S. has increased their relevance in defining relevance as the amount of times people search for them on Google, the #1 site in the entire world. I think that is a much better way of understanding who won the debates than option number 1. So we're just going to skip option number 1 in this video. And if you want to watch all of that take place, it's coming up in a second. If this is your first time here, what's up? I'm Sam, and if you're returning, it's good to freaking see you. Now, with that being said, let's get into the video. By the way, I would love to know anybody's comments in this. So right here at the bottom, I have a question. Hopefully this is, you can see this. Okay, right here. Down here in the honest question here, try to be objective. I would like to know some potential benefits of why this could potentially be more accurate. But try to be objective. Like, I know if you're watching this video, you may lean more this way, but I'm just curious if anybody actually thinks, or if there's some validity to any reasons, For me, I think this is common sense, but I'm curious to know what other people think. But try to be objective and just honest in your responses. That's what we're trying to do through the data on this channel. So what did we do, right? We took the 4th through the 10th. And this is the search volume for each of their names on Google Trends. And what we did to come up with their ranking is we took all 10, and then, and this is the period after, right, the 10th through the 15th. Then we took over here, and I believe I said it was going to be on the 11th, and for some reason I had actually done it on the 15th, or the 10th, so I apologize. But what we did is we took all 10 to start out with, and you put it into a random number generator to see who's going to compete, because unfortunately in Google Trends, you can only put in 5 characters up here at the top. You see how we're comparing these 5 people. So I wouldn't be able to do a direct comparison from all of them together, like 10 in a row, and then just see who is 1 through 10. I actually have to do it a little bit differently and still try to be objective as possible. So what I did was I took all 10 people and I had them up 1 through 10, and then I put them in a random number generator and took the first 5 that came out, and I stack ranked them 1 through 5. And the bottom 2, 4 and 5, I left off for the moment. So the 3 of them would move forward. right? And then I did it again for the remaining 5 players that hadn't competed. I did those, and then the same thing. So 4 people came off in the first round, and I basically iterated this way forwards, and then I did the same thing backwards, so that I had a stack ranking of 1 through 10 of before, and then 1 through 10 afterwards of both of these time periods, and that is what this chart represents. So what we have, and then I'm going to show you a much easier way to take a look at this in a second, but we have the time period before in blue and the time period after in red. So as you can see, I actually put the wrong date here because the data we looked at was on the 10th. But we can see that if the red is less, let's see here, I think this might be backwards. No, 2 spots. All right. But anyways, if the blue is higher, they've done better. Yes, I was doing that backwards. If blue is higher, they've done better. Let's go. Actually, it doesn't seem to make sense that way. Let me actually take a look at the data. Clearly, I'm misunderstanding. Okay, here it is. So this is the period beforehand. This is the period after right here. This is up to the 10th, remember? And we see that Andrew Yang went from 3rd before to 1st. Kamala Harris didn't move. Pete didn't move. Amy Kubala, whatever her name is, she lost 1 spot. Bernie Sanders was number 1 in that period beforehand, and he lost 3 spots. That's represented in this chart over here. Hopefully you can see this chart here, where you can see the people, this is the 0 line here in the center, and the people on the right over here gained in terms of relevance, gauged by the number of search volume for this. And Bernie Sanders, Amy, and Julian Castro each lost. Bernie Sanders lost the most out of everybody during this time period. Andrew Yang and Julian actually gained the most in terms of their increase. But when we look at the actual ranking here, we can see Julian went from 10th to 8th. So there's a yes, it's an increase. Yes, that's awesome. I'm sure their camp is getting inundated with increase in traffic. Probably over that time period, they saw a nice little spike in whatever they were using to gauge their relevance or in terms of the candidacy. And I would bet the same thing is happening with Andrew Yang, moving from number 3 to number 1. It's just a surge in terms of the volume of just activity around their social and phone calls and text and all that kind of stuff associated with that. So with this, you can see we try to take an objective look at who the actual winners were. And based on the data, like you can see, I told you exactly what I did, how I ranked them and everything. You can go do exactly the same thing. Just looking at the data, we see we have 2 people tied here as a winner, Andrew Yang and Julian Castro, with one of them, moving up from 10th spot, right, to 8th, which is awesome, but I think it's more telling to see that Andrew Yang went from 3rd to 1st. So if you like this type of content, make sure you press that subscribe button. If you found this analysis interesting, if you know anybody who does any of these other polling things, share this with them. Shoot them my fucking email or something like that. Get me in touch with them. I'll do some of this, and they can use this data and whatever it is that they're doing, and that will give them an advantage, right? Because then they'll be like, yeah, clearly this is a different way of looking at something that is probably much more representative of what actually happened than the first way of ranking people. And if you don't want to do that, press that thumbs up button. It does help with the YouTube algorithm. Jump over to Instagram. The link is in the description and say, what's good? And that I should probably take less caffeine. So appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching. By the way, the Power Ranking 2 is coming out this week. Apologize, this is a little bit longer than I was expecting. The Power Ranking for 2, in terms of the top 10 candidates, I do the same type of analysis, and I do it on 7 factors like Google search volume, YouTube search volume, their website ranking in the US, donations, social media growth rates, and whatnot. So if you want to follow along with that, I'm doing a video each day this week, probably releasing it at 7:30 a.m. So press that subscribe button, press that bell notification. And if you like this type of style, you'll probably really enjoy these other videos that I'm doing around this analysis. I'll just try to give you the data and myself because I find it super interesting, and see how it plays out. We'll see if this is more accurate over time or the polling data is more accurate over time. And time will tell if I'm correct or incorrect in another 24 months, right?